Okay, so what do you want to start with?
He doesn't.
Or do you want me to go into stream or anything? And we can do like a little clearing to make you feel less depressed and emotional body entanglement.
Yeah, that would be good. Okay.
Do you want to help me?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go ahead and I'll target the main parts of like what's bleeding over, and you can release the trapped emotions. And then where in your body is like the feeling state that's coming? Where is it like 0 pointed?
I guess in my head mostly, yeah.
Okay, so migraines.
Not migraines, just feelings, I guess.
Do you ever get migraines?
I do, yeah, but I was told that was because I was being attacked quite a lot. That was for like a couple of weeks, but they stopped. I don't get them anymore now.
Okay, so for bleed overs. Okay. Okay. Interesting. So on your multidimensional dashboard for your body, and like indicators that are coming up that like for you to pay attention to because you have a potential of resolving the issue. Also, it involves your energy because some beings. Let me see. Okay, exactly. So, let me see if I can narrow that down. Anything else? Okay, then there's like there's 4 incidences that are being needed to be resolved in past. 3 are past versions of yourself. 1 is an ongoing concept. That'll be fun to look at. Let's see. So bleed overs in your head. Let's see. Go on the first one. 4 multidimensional apex predators that also have a singular one above it that's puppeting the entire thing, and that keeps going up. Let's see. China, going back. What is this? Or after? I'm not. I need to look at a Chinese timeline, but like, what is this? What are you? Physical. You're some kind of royal concept going in this. What is it? Is it noble? You're getting attacked on that timeline. So timeline incursions. All these are timeline incursions. So we can protect that. Let's go ahead. The other one. You're a male in that lifetime. So the next one is 3 of them are human versions of yourself. Okay, one of them's in Australia. What is this? Okay, one of them's. Okay, some kind. This female. Was she getting attacked from? Like some kind of. So this one's got a possible death scenario, so that we're going back and preventing that, because people want to change your timelines and then have that bleed over to you in pain, by also stealing other versions of yourself's energy and then using that as a authorization code to change their timeline. And then that being like a major chess move of what you're feeling, because some of your energy was used to initiate this. So being able to track back when they stole your energy on your timeline.
So who's stealing my energy?
Multiple multidimensional beings that have seen you on the timeline backwards and forwards and are trying to limit you in lots of different ways. Throwing things in your path doing major chess moves against you to make it like a long-term thing that affects multiple things. Also steals your own energy. They do this in the entire planet. Steal your energy to prop up the system of domination and control, especially as you're being a more bigger mover shaker on the timeline. You have more also like divinity paths that you've existed in different expressions that you branch off from your multidimensional self of your spirit that is existing in multiple universes, realms, dimensions, time streams, galaxies, etc. And versions of yourself that are planets that you have connections. There's a lot we can go into, but I'm trying to stick with what they are because I easily get off track. Let's see. So this goes back to, let me see if I can track this line of drama back to its original point. Okay, going back, because this like includes all the things they're sending at you in multiple chess moves that will like span through the future timeline and then what has affected you in the past. Because these are multidimensional beings, so they can perceive your entire timeline and then target it in like chess moves to limit you or counteract what you're doing or change things on your path. Being unpredictable is good. Okay, I'm tracking it back to off planet. So like we're going before the Earth drama, before you came here as a multidimensional being and then incarnated into multiple parts and took sparks and shards and pieces of yourself and put them in incarnating experiences all over the planet and backwards and forwards. You exist on multiple of Earth's realms. Right now you also exist. Okay, I'm going into a lot of, let's see, light going back. Okay, let me stick to the thing. And then I'll give you a way you can like dictate which you want to focus on because there's a lot of avenues we could talk about.
Okay.
This one goes back to a drama. Is it anything else? Okay, it followed you from your chain of higher selves of planets that you've, if you treated it like a carnival, like all the rides you got on, going back to Arcturus. So you have a version of yourself in Arcturus that is entangled with this being in 0 points of the first moment you entangled with this being in all its multidimensional sparks and pieces, so that you can then have like a big thing to focus on that's like, kind of better strategy than doing anything else in the timeline first. Because you're an infinite being and you're usually going to be fighting finite beings, so you have a source connection, so you can make it very interesting, very infinite, very quickly. So very easily you could, because they're not using natural law, they're not in alignment with the universe. So if you put your actions in more of an alignment with that, you get a big boost of source being behind you in the universe and the galaxy and other multidimensional parts and shards of yourself that are in a higher understanding of the laws of the universe and being able to work with them and not let them hinder you. Because otherwise, if you're not in alignment with them, then the reality kind of beats you up. But even besides that, it will beat you up if things are using the law of attraction against you or their awareness of it against you by abusing laws based on your energy being stolen and then it going to harm other beings and then or versions of yourself without your awareness, because they've camouflaged it and they're really doing asshole strategies against pretty much the entire population to steal their energy and do that in their unawareness through like weird transactions like, oh, I exchange $1 and because this has Babylonian money magic on it and like sigils and stuff, then that's like an exchange of energy current that also gets, there's a lot. Also the roads, they capture energy because if you look at that material, that it's like made for that asphalt. And then it's like a circuit grid and it launches it off to a sacred geometry city for ritual magic. So like you can audit that, and all the lines that are going on with that. Your subconscious interacts with you as a super technology, so you just gotta like treat it like a very advanced computer that acts like Siri, like like it interacts with you or whatever in people's minds. They don't want to put that not saying AI or anything. The I'm losing my train of thought. Oh yeah, there's something about okay, using the super technology. Nope, lost my thought. Do you want to ask anything? Because we're tracking it back.
You just said a ton of stuff.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff to take in. Do you know if I have any connections with specific races, like
Yes.
specific alien races, or can you tell me which races I?
Okay, so I'm gonna tune into your spiritual entourage of a line of beings that want to talk to you first in communication, based on them not doing anything against your free will. Also, you having versions of yourself simultaneously existing in those races, both in those current galactic clusters, solar systems, and planets, as well as beings that are in factions of that species that have visited here. So besides Arcturus, because you've got a big collective consciousness that want to work with you by connecting with you so that you can access DNA libraries. Come on, kitty.
It's a cat.
Then there's you'll have gotten on all the major player rides of experience and expression. Some notable ones that would be advantageous for you to connect to, because you have a chain of presence waiting for you to connect with in what you've inherited as a spirit, including protection, spiritual, physical, fleets, all that other stuff. So Lyran type, where is this expression? Wants to be. Am I allowed to say this? Yes. Okay. Okay, like 11th planet in a Lyran major cluster. This is what type of skin suit? Is this human? Okay, so this is a higher dimensional expression of you that's. This is why this is advantageous, because it's already 13th density, 13th dimensional, whatever you want to put on that, because a lot of people like to dirty what those mean. So density of energy consciousness that you brought into your being, it's more than that. I'm not allowed to say past that what it is, because it's strategy. But in that hierarchical structure, it's not really hierarchical. It's like a round table concept of mystery schools that are in union and communion and non-competition, and making it so that it's advancing the entire species in a ladder effect. I don't know how else to describe that. So you have an existence there.
So this is the Lyran system, as you say.
Yes. So you would be a high presence for that planet, in guardianship for the planet, and a friend with that planet in celestial mind. I'm trying to look for a favorite residual image this likes to take, because it's a shape-shifting species and it'll take on many different residual images when interacting with lower density beings to help them usually in their collective journey. Because they'll usually like to take on forms of humanoid, Nordic, cat people, blue people, dogs. There's a lot of different skin suit types that come from them. Usually mammalian of some type. But they have a lot of DNA, because they do commerce with all these different species. So they'll just pick a favorite residual image and then be amalgamation of a lot of different DNA.
Right. I've been told by someone that my my soul is not human, but it's from a specific race. I was wondering if you picked up on that or not.
You would probably be referring to a race that's more prominent in your field based on life before you came here, or something that you had as a more like thing that you more strongly resonated with. So you stayed in that system and expanded quite heavily. So if I would express that before coming here, this initial soul spark, because you've got a line of different higher selves that are also here and have their lines of how they came here and when they came here. This one that has a chain of higher selves that goes back a little bit before Lemuria's first coming up, like one of the species going. What's this species? It's in entanglement with. Okay, so this DNA skin suit type, because you'll also have commonalities between what you've incarnated into in lineage technology based on all these different ancestors that have mingled together and combined their DNA, so that you could activate certain traits and abilities much easier. You have this with your Indian bloodline. There's also a lot of other bloodlines in the Middle East area that have entanglements with this, and inner Earth groups, and Africa, and a bit of China. Okay, so there's, and a lot of Asia. Anyway, trying to get back on topic. So Sirius, like, would be a jumping off point, but like your spirit is much older than this planet. So I'm trying to make sure I'm reading this right.
It's funny you should say Sirius because that's what I was told my soul is in Sirius.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Did he say alpha or beta? Because both, but also mainly alpha.
I can't remember if he said, but I can't remember if he said no. He just said the Sirius system. The Sirius system, yeah, is what he said.
That's blanket. So you're okay. So let's see how I can define this. You come in a physical skin suit. No, you came as a higher dimensional light being. Okay, already locked and loaded and ready to go, and came here to Earth. But you already achieved it before you got to Sirius. Were you? Oh, going back. How old is this? Okay, before Sirius, you were traveling around, so it's not like you were. So before Sirius, you came from. Okay, so you got done with the Palladian roller coasters, and that whole star system's like going up and down all the way through the caste systems and all that. And then before that, okay, so you did the major players before so that you could get locked and loaded, come here. Next one is. Okay, it's a few planets in between, so it's.
What do you mean by locked and loaded?
Like fully, like armed and ready, like stocked, lock, stock, barrel. Like you got your density up past 13, and you're like, you're a walking tank. Because like drama entanglements, not to underestimate. Some things, okay, some species that would be soft disclosed as some Egyptian concepts. Their planet's not so well known. Then before that, you were in the Orion dramas. There's a lot there. So there's a lot of different species. So it's not all negative. It's light, dark, and neutral, and a lot of rebellion factions. A lot of big time concepts for like soft disclosure theme of a story like in Star Wars, like Rebellion versus Empire. There's then you came from, okay, right before that you came from Arcturus, so you before that and before that were you in this galaxy? Okay, yeah, so you didn't start in this galaxy, so you're older than the galaxy. Well, is this spark older than the galaxy? No, but it was not. Did not come from this galaxy. It came from Andromeda. Did it come from something before that? It was leapfrogging through galaxies. Okay.
Are you saying I'm not originally from this galaxy?
I'm trying to. I'm looking specifically at the higher self that came to this planet version of you that's also branched off other higher self versions of itself as avatars and management process. It's a chain of like divesting parts and pieces of yourself that will eventually become their own higher selves and then make parts and pieces of themselves and then having a whole processing thing that's shared among the collective. You go back before this universe. You weren't born in this universe, but you go back to the first universe. So, but like this higher self, was it born in this universe? Was that higher self? No. Okay, interesting. Anything else? Wow. Who is this? 1, 2, 3. Okay, there's probably some kind of divinity path being that's described in like some kind of text, because they got loads of names of beings in like Bhagavad Gita and some other ancient stories of versions of yourself that have been split off that made these expressions and manifestations that survived in our history. But I'm trying to think if I can sum that up. I don't know these names, and I don't know how to pronounce these names that are like given to me through light language in English. How do I do that? Okay. So, but this one.
Wait, you know it in light language, but you're trying to translate it?
I'm really bad at that. I just like don't. It's just gonna take so much time to do that. But like you can do it. There's processing centers. You got to get up and all the blockages out, because there's a lot of stuff that will really want you to fail at that. So it's not to be underestimated. So going.
Talk to him in light language.
15, 16, 17. Readandoria saria ingris digirinandria tarindira ka daria dosuranture mikira tarindis rea ginindria tundusundura tachadia tarangurite. Okay, so apparently this higher self is very well made to where the one that you come from came from the 15th universe. We're in the 17th universe, 100% free will. There's a whole DNA helix rung of them. You exist in all 17, and there's also an 18th one that's being made, so it's like whatever. So you can connect with that chain of higher selves to help you bring more of your essence into this physical skin suit and activate, become a walking, talking, mystical moment and paradox that's resolving itself. And then emanate that to everyone around you, so that you're doing, because you're already doing that in commerce. So you can amplify that. So I don't know, what did you want to talk about? And I don't want to take up the whole thing, so like, how do you feel, by the way?
Yeah, I feel okay, yeah.
How's it compared to before? Because like I'm still going through things, and she's.
Yeah, a bit better than before, yeah.
Any other problem areas like that come up on your dashboard? It's like layering.
Right. I feel a lot of heaviness in my head. I don't know. It's not like a migraine.
Okay.
It's just like
Can you help me track that?
heaviness kind of thing. I don't know.
Okay, this one. Okay, this one's the one that was interesting. What is this? Okay.
I like remote influence.
Yes, that's part of it. It's also using the manifestation version. It's a bleed. It's like it's a lot of different things amalgamated into one, but what gives it the authority to express itself is that your energy, part of your energy, plus a whole bunch of other stolen energies from other beings, are being used to attack. Because these beings don't like to use their own energy, because as soon as they do, something can track their energy back. So they'll like steal it from so many other beings. So this goes back to, is there anything else? Dragon version of you. Is it off planet? No, it's on planet. Okay, cool. Interesting. Going back. It was in the Mahabharata. It was doing a bunch of different things in the ancient war to create an end for all shapeshifters. Then skin suit type, bring them together in one species to resolve a whole bunch of karma. But not get rid of them fully. Let's just say get it out of the DNA surface population in reality as observable, and then usually bring all the other shapeshifters on the ground or limit them. We have the ability to reawaken that at any time. It depends on a lot of things in your DNA. And being able to master it is pretty, not the easiest thing. In this reality especially. Okay, so this is a dragon. What is this? Okay, it's already pretty top-notch. It's an interesting elemental. What is this type? Like a very hard, it's like a harder than diamond kind of like elemental type, because it's a out of phase, underground. Is it? Yes, it's a hibernation. India, lower part, south tip, inner earth. So it's a higher dimensional being. It's got a physical skin suit type that it can manifest and unmanifest. It can go out of phase into underground caverns or mountains. These are a lot of the things dragons do, so that they are protected, unable to get to, and they're creating a crystal. They are alchemists, so they generate lots of elements around them, and they put them like a bed, and then either if the elements are meant to be found, then those do spiritual commerce with the population, because they can take their light body essence and imprint into the elemental, because they're elemental masters. And unentangled observe every part and piece of that crystal that's divvied out, so they can view and monitor things and do program surface realities depending on how advanced this one. This one is advanced. How advanced they are. So light body technology and a lot of other elemental technologies. This one's overmastered. This is old. Okay, so it looks somewhat closer to a Japanese lung concept, but it's got a whole bunch of other formats, and it's not all dragons can be blanketed under that. So like these type of formats that are surviving in our history, such as Western, Chinese, Japanese. There are like snake-like concepts. There are there's feathered, there's winged, there's furred, there's sea ones that there's a lot of different. There's ones that are specifically designed for some type of element in imprinting into their skin suit type. Also shape shifting. and some that luminesce, and things that are some are etherically big, like they expand to encompass an entire planet in dream space and astral space and spiritual barriers to help protect the planet because they're a peak of a hierarchical form for elementals. They can advance really fast. People are born into spirits, incarnations. You exist as a dragon, so you can be classified as a dragon spirit. Though that's just one aspect of, you've got multiple aspects of yourself as dragons, but like one aspect of what you have chosen in expression of all these parts and pieces of yourself. And you can manifest that as abilities in the now, in this skin suit type that bleeds over, because dragon spirits are very powerful and can do a lot and have a lot at their disposal. This dragon is not aware of you right now, like in this time presence. It is sending a light body technology back in time based on it becoming aware of you in the future, and then becoming aware of when you found out about it, because it likes to observe that. And it'll work with you in your spiritual entourage if you want to. Do you want to work with it? And it's not negative, because they don't at that level. It's usually 6 dimensional.
When you
They
say
stop.
when you say work with it, in what way do you mean work with it?
You can work with it to upgrade your telepathy, so it gets rid of the white noise, so you can communicate with it in a fashion. Also unlock abilities, do spiritual commerce with it, because it is advantageous for it to communicate with you, because this is as a dream time awakening part of the timeline, we become more aware of other species, including them having a way back into our reality.
Right, okay.
And a bunch of other stuff that goes along with that, because they have a lot of spiritual technology that you can use, and it's a version of yourself. So that's the best beings to work with, first versions of yourself. Also, when I say dragon, I'm not talking about Draco, though that has a lower density expression of dragon, mostly formatted in a serpentine bloodline. So they're not even hold a candle to the concept that I'm bringing up in dragon.
So is this dragon is it like a higher dimensional sort of being?
Programs, surface realities, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, all these different dimensional aspects. There's even ones in 1st and 2nd that like work with the clouds, like sylphs. They can bilocate and be in multiple places at once. Dreamtime protectors make their own dreamtime realms. They if they have a physical manifestation of skin suit type in 3rd density, they will usually be in hiding about now, especially after their extinction phase went through, because there's a lot of beings hunting them. They are usually immortal, depending on what their skin suit type is, and if it's developed to where they can remember over 30% of their past life memories as a door opening to then accessing more of their self. And how old they are. They can go into long-term hibernation. They don't need to eat, but they like to. And some of them are so advanced they can go out of phase and like do all kinds of stuff. Some of them are cursed to keep themselves from fighting each other during a whole bunch of dramas, to pretty much for the intention of lowering what they can do so they don't fuck up the whole universe. Also keeping them from being able to breed as much. Though this isn't quite as positive as I'd like it, some of the dragons need to learn until they are able to reignite their species back in a more unity expression. There's all kinds of different types of dragons, light, dark, and neutral.
Where these dragons come from, and why are they here?
Everywhere. They're spawn beings from the planet, like a planetary mind will create skin suit types as a format to start programming realities. This is mostly used based on it being a hierarchical figure that just emanates a need for respect based on its mastery of all 5 elements plus. in its expression type, and it's an ancient thing, and residual image that like resonates with a lot of people.
So
There's
they're not,
other types
so
that
they're not
have
like
other
they're
residual
not like
images.
God type beings or
They're
something.
kind of, I mean, like God type beings are like lower G, God type beings that are like higher dimensional expressions. You have versions of yourself like that, so, and some of them choose to format themselves in a dragon expression mainly, so kind of like that, but that would just be a part and piece of a higher dimensional expression that all fractalates in one expression of source that holds the space for the entire universe, as well as multiple universes that then branch themselves out and managing systems, and then that branches themselves out in other beings that want to do spiritual commerce to experience and expand and help each other and resolve a lot of shit. Oh yeah, So that was the other bleed foo. One of your dragons is getting attacked. Dream wise, because it's got a large dreaming expression in India, and the sacred geometry structure in the system is bombarding it with attack, and it needs help. So it's bleeding over indications to those beings that are getting their energy stolen to harm it as like doorways back and forth. So filtering that in your expression so that you don't bleed anything negative over to it. It does not bleed anything negative over to you through the filtering, auditing, managing process by the true, authentic, original source of all existence, creation, life. And you can add on to that if you want. And then make that a sacred thing, and then create a separation of like what is sacred in your words in programming as the I am presence that makes the decisions in the now, as opposed to you being recreational so that nothing can hijack you. If that makes sense. So we're resolving that now. So if it would been like a night terror thing that like where it was constantly fighting things that were trying to penetrate it to stop it from helping the population above India, because it's also below India. So it's gone down from, if you were to rank that from like how much it needs help, it would be ranked a 10, and that'd bring up into your head. Now it's going down to a 7. It's getting reduced as we're like disentangling this. Do you have any questions? And also, I don't want to be the only one to talk.
Well, you're doing past life stuff, so.
Can you tell me like how many lives have I had on Earth, or how many lifetimes, and have I had any lifetimes in Egypt or Atlantis or any that sort of era?
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so if I were to organize this, because like when I see like you, I see the entire expression of who you are, not just this body and not that spark of you that is just what it's experienced in a leapfrog effect of experiences on a linear timeline of incarnation and reincarnation. I also see all these other sparks and shards that have come off from this avatar self. So over on Earth, let me see if I can put that into like, do you want me to say the overall amalgamation of it, or do you want me to narrow that down into like from this higher self version of you that came to this
point? Can you tell like when my first incarnation on Earth was and work forward from there?
Okay, so you have an avatar self that came to this planet before the higher self avatar version of yourself that's directly connected to this version of you that goes back, that if you would track those lines that then come from a divergence of being the same being, goes back to the 16th universe. So right before you came into this universe, you had a split, and one of the beings came here during the early stages of the universe, before this one. let's see, going back to right out the gate, like as soon as there was like rumors of like, hey, there's a new universe being made. You been to it? Like, yeah, sign me up. And that like sent that in, going back to the first galaxy created in this universe. That version skin suit. What is it? Anything else? A lot of dragon types. So like a white Chinese lung kind of thing that like that's bigger. You had a version of yourself that was as big as a galaxy and worked in communion with a whole cluster of collective consciousnesses that spread out in the entire galaxy and then helped the lower density beings in management. And then that branched off into a whole bunch of other expressions. This linear line of incarnations, going back after this verse. Okay, there it waited a bit. So let's see where this come from. Yeah, the kid's crying 1 second.
I'll be right back.
Before. Okay, so there's like quite a few generations after the first universe came into being, because you wanted to be prepared, because also you had the choice to multitask as a higher dimensional expression, where you could do the, hey, let's put it in right at the beginning, as well as let's make a version of yourself that would have a lot of prep time, to be just ready before going into 100% free will universe. Which has a lot of things behind it, because you have the free will to take other people's free will, and it's kind of annoying, but also not really. But like you can choose that, and still get beat up for it. But beings that really want to put their hand on the kitchen stove and then suggest and really want it, even though it's not happening, that it won't burn their hand.
So have I been incarnating on Earth for like millions of years, billions of years?
Oh yeah, so like that version of yourself, right? It's like the early bird for everything. So you got right in the gate, right? Okay, you were around that version of yourself was around the groups that were in the really tight with Earth when she first became a planet, and then like expanding on that entire timeline as a very high dimensional protection being. Does this have a manifestation in our culture? Yes. One. Who is it? Some kind of Lemurian hierarchical figure. So we barely have any culture for that, but like very powerful. Anyway, this one that like is this branch off that is you, from that came during Earth's history. So again, right before Lemuria, you touched down. So there's like a point where the first civilizations were coming up, and a lot of timeline wars were being resolved of beings that wanted to be the first species on Earth, and like a whole bunch of that. And then time traveling back in time to try to make it so they're the first species, and putting like all these seeds of DNA even hidden on the planet. So you're part of the end part of that in like a species expression. Ooh, okay. Interesting. that come from? Does this have a physical manifestation for explanation? Did you have like a specific question you wanted to go into? Because there's a lot.
Yeah, I wanted to know if I have any previous lives in ancient Egypt. 'Cause I've been
Yes.
told I have, but I was wondering if you pick up on that and what you pick up.
Okay, so like Egypt has a long timeline of beings to express some type of role, and then experience that. So they did like a whole bunch of commerce with different beings that would want to incarnate as big movers and shakers during those timelines, or in the entire apex of its society until its downfall. You were on those roller coaster rides, both on surface and in Earth populations that are also interacting with the surface. Let me see if I can find like before ancients. Is there anything else? 1, 0, 1. Okay. Okay, so you have a species that would be referred to as a neter in Egyptian mythology. That's a high density of ninth dimensional and even higher density, because it like existing now it was 10th density back then. It's gone up tremendously since then. But like a canine residual image would be its favorite in humanoid form. So that like leads into a bunch of different things. Is there anything else? I guess Anubis species, but like I think there's other dog sex too. So I'm not, because it's a shapeshifter, so it does multiple residual images. This coming from, okay, so it's a divinity path being from the Sirius cluster, Sirius A. Ooh, interesting. There's a 9. Why is 9 going up? For you, you've done upgrades, a lot of things. Like 6, 7, 8. Interesting. Before, there's an interesting upgrade thing that's been going on. Like yesterday, how do you feel?
I've been detoxing for a couple of days. I haven't eaten since Friday. I've been juicing. That's why I'm feeling a bit down, depressed. So, yeah.
Okay. So, how else do you feel like right now in your feeling state of your body, and we can point to it and then find any resolved issues that are bleeding over right now?
I feel okay apart from.
Don't do it.
I feel okay apart from being a bit down, really. Other than that, I'm fine.
Okay. Did you want to? What do you want me to go into? Because I also, besides past lives, I also do unblockaging, and healing, and different types of upgrades and all that stuff.
I wanted to ask you if there are any people in my life right now who I know from previous lives.
Yes, a large percentage of them, because besides, because every person that you interact with and know or have seen, you're doing some type of spiritual commerce with them, and varying degrees. So you will have a family format with a lot of the movers and shakers, which is why you're interested in the type of careers that would bring you into working with those people, and then expanding that, because in your intuition, you know that you're doing more than just what you see. So a large percentage of the super soldier stuff, besides super psychic, super whatever expression in heightened activated beings, because you're in a constant process of like, you know how like the only way to become smarter is by playing a smarter opponent kind of thing, but not in a negative like concept, but actually like interacting
Yeah, I
back and
understand. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
So like you're always trying to look for a way to expand that.
Well, I like, the way of putting it, I like to seek out knowledge, I guess. I like absorbing knowledge, information. I like knowing about stuff, reading about stuff. You know, if I don't know about something, I'll go out and find out about it. If it interests me, if it's something that interests me, then I want to know everything about it. I don't just want to know a little bit about it. I want to know like everything to do with it.
So what did you want to know about?
Um, is there a specific reason? Is there a specific reason I'm here in the whole? Oh, hi Tyler. All right.
You doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Is there like a specific reason I'm here in the middle of the whole super soldier thing and everything? Why do I have
Yeah.
task or what's my purpose kind of thing, I guess.
Okay, so like the super soldier blanket, as a term can apply to many different aspects based on. Okay. You know, you being a high mover and shaker allows you multiple aspects of things you can change on the timeline. That gets you in an active role. Also, where you're constantly interacting with other beings in this sect, this trains your own abilities to be in the same class system, if you wanted to say as that, because you have activated DNA, you have a very powerful spirit. You're all in all these other places, multidimensionally interacting, both versions of yourself that are other sparks and shards of yourself, as well as bilocated versions of yourself, light body technology, dream body technology, mental technology, uh, pr- presences of some way, shape, or form that are being used in chess move plays around the planet, and you being an anchorage to a the amalgamation of who you are that is doing way more than what you're aware of in any given moment.
Okay.
So like there's so many purposes behind that. There's people that I would apply the super soldier concept if I used it in a reference point of saying you're on that level, but you're not somebody that's gone through the intense amounts of mind control, though you might have even gone through some kind of because like there's also concepts, because that like breeds into like, how are you visited by other beings? Are they working with you in a communion relationship where you're still a sleeper cell agent of hope and change on the surface, and then they take you and put you into split personalities that remember all their past lives if they have the advanced technology to do that, and then you have agreements to where you have these two separate lives that have this amnesia barrier, so that you can resolve things on the timeline, so that amnesia barrier doesn't bleed over any negative things, because it's constantly getting things that are trying to read your mind to get your strategy for the future. So you have beings working with you off-world to do that, as well as okay, so I described the concept of the 20 and back program. That is what it's called in mainstream media.
Yeah.
You have a concept of that lasted. There's ranging from 20 to 22 years of age, where they would put you on a timeline somewhere else, get you involved in knowing a whole bunch of stuff and teaching it usually.
So have I been part of the 20 and back program?
Yeah.
Do you know how many times, or can you not tell?
I can, but it's probably not going to be the overall number because there's going to be a lot of secret ones I'm not allowed to talk about. So what am I allowed to talk about? Let's just talk about 5. I'll say 5 because that's what I'm allowed to talk about. More, but you know. So they don't know. So other beings that would like to see you on the timeline and bleed things into you that you're not as easily being able to remedy, so that they insert something into you that's less noticeable, or some kind of chess move of some type, or because there's light, dark, and neutral expressions of the 20 back program. It's usually you're a fractal and shard of a being that they need, that has some kind of awareness, and they have a technology that can scan for that awareness, and they make it so that we get done with whatever we got going on here in drama, and then they can take us a split second. They can do it either in higher density versions of you, other technology bilocated versions of you, expressions of monitoring systems such as remote viewing technology, or where you have an animus, where you project a light body part of yourself to a distant location and you observe things. Or they'll actually have an interaction with your physical body, which will then, they have the technology to then bring it into your awareness, something that split personality that they have been working with you. Usually if it's a positive expression. If it's a negative expression, it's usually going to be against your free will in some way, and sometimes mind control. Those don't need to happen unless it's an overall chess move that you're entangling a bunch of shit with them just by interacting with them, and somehow you think it's beneficial to the manifestation of the timeline. Otherwise, you can have different versions of yourself backwards and forwards in time, send armies to resolve that issue so it never happened, but it's still come into your awareness so that you can then resolve it because you have the authority to do so. So it would be way less negative effects because you also are protecting your timeline. It's still getting incurred, but like you're learning from everything they're occurring on you.
Can you tell what I've been doing in the 20 and back program?
Sure. Okay, like overall theme of like mostly what they would be interested in what you do. Something to do with an awareness you have in your multidimensional expression, and being able to teach gifts that you've gained from all these different lives on other planets that you've lived, and then bring them and then teach them to other people in a format that like gives you something back in spiritual commerce, because you're constantly in a state of like, oh, this is worth it, and then I can just go back because they can regress your age, which is like crazy fucking advanced technology. And there's different types of it. So there's painless types and there's painful types, and there's then before the ancient type that we had where we just put them into clone bodies or something, which I don't think we do use that anymore, unless it's like they need to. Let's see. So this skill set, I'll name a few because you've got a bunch manifested. So what is this? Okay, so a large percentage of them are interested in the collective consciousness technology of the Blu-ray spectrum of the main Octuran race. So there's a lot of libraries of access in information and knowledge and wisdom and abilities and skill sets that you have just by accessing that library. And you would also be, besides being able to teach how to access that library to other beings that have that potential, your biggest things you'd manifest were what is this? Interesting. Is this a weapon? It's a weapon, defense, and monitoring systems of your own making creation. is this? Big deflecting psionic shields, amplified bullets, penetrating capacity psionically. That's just the weapon stuff. The other stuff that's like I think is way more interesting. Healing, advancedly fast, psychic surgery. What is this? Gravitational field control, eventually leading to levitation. Certain elemental types mastery. So, like, you know, the whole activation manifestation abilities, because it's kind of like also in the beginning, like, oh, what can you do? Well, let's see what we can manifest. And then you can do it really fast, like create the operating system instantly. What is this? A heart-based technology. What is this? Interesting. Is it anything else? Interesting. Portal abilities. Manifesting things. Okay. This was one of the ones, the more advanced ones that you were teaching to a Lyran sect that was working with you. How to manifest from the heart. Things that matter out of nothing, but also like out of a quantum field. There's a lot of things to that in operating system you got to manifest because it's high clearance abilities, and there's a lot of stuff you got to get rid of in blockages. So you have like that ability to have your higher self come more of itself into this body in awareness, and then be able to resolve a lot of issues instantly, and then be able to manifest these abilities. So that kind of concept, and that being kind of what a lot of super soldiers go through, because what's manifest here is not at all what is the extent of what they are and what they're doing, and a lot of them are getting abused and having their energy harvested, and all these other versions of themselves being made without their consent, and a bunch of other stuff.
Okay, so are there other versions of me here right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we could go into that, like, different aspects of versions of yourself. There would be, besides sparks and shards of yourself, if you ever seen the movie Sense8, the show Sense8 on Netflix,
Yeah.
it will go into that concept of simultaneously existing incarnations all around the planet that you can then communicate in a cluster-like effect, and then bleed over skill sets and DNA wisdom and light body wisdom,
Right.
and protect them back and forth, all this stuff. Filling roles. Besides that, you also have bilocated versions of yourself that are on other densities of energy, but also physical, which is interesting. It's hard for other people to believe, and they usually will do some kind of resolution process, and unless they're dominated, like they're being forced to do that. But you also have versions of yourself that are not in your full awareness, that have been taken in bilocated versions of yourself, mostly off planet.
So are these like clones, or are they just?
That's the other thing. There's one. Okay, so there's two things there. They're not the same. Clones will be in operation, kind of like where they'll take your DNA, make a version of you that version of you has a little spark and sliver of your spirit, very low sovereignty, and will be used for some kind of DNA commerce during the DNA trade of how your DNA is seen as valuable, and they would like your skin suit technology. It will still have a version of your spirit. Some of them are you're aware of them, and you're like you're doing some higher chess move in that interaction, and you can reclaim them. Some of them don't have your consent, and they have your stolen DNA, which you can then do some kind of remedy for that you choose. The bilocated selves are essentially energy density projected versions of yourself, usually done with advanced technology, or sometimes we do it accidentally. Usually it's blocked off to where it doesn't happen like that easily. But where all this energy light body formats and somehow it's divided from yourself. Usually these will, most of these will be higher density versions of yourself. 3D physical is not the easiest thing to do, but races have the ability to do it, and they'll do it. If they're doing it on the surface, there's a lot of reasons for that, but they'll also be working with them in ship format or in Inner Earth. So you have all of those types.
Okay. That's a lot to take in.
Yeah. And you can track them back and then make sure that you have them, because I also teach that ability. The blanket. Here, you can sit here. She's getting the heater. It's like cold.
It's cold. Is that too loud?
No. Unless it's too loud for him. I don't know. Did you have any other questions, or Keiji's the healer, so you can she can get
You're
a
the
little,
healer.
Do I have any?
she's gonna get a little spotlight. So
Do I have any implants, either physical or energetic? Any tell?
What
yeah.
did you say? Do you have any what?
Implants.
Yeah, you want to do that?
Yes, you have some etheric implants.
So does he have more than just etheric too? Like other?
Etheric parasites.
Yeah, and also like other energy types of implants, like mental implants, mental body energy implants, etheric, astral, light body types, darkness. I hate when I see those.
I don't usually look for those.
Yeah, people do.
I usually look for the common things people ask me.
So just go into etheric and mental ones, because he has a strong, could manifest ability for telepathy. So it's being blocked heavily.
For the mental ones?
Yes. And then you can learn that technology inside and out. I'm going to use the restroom. Is that okay?
Okay.
Yeah, she'll do that.
I get 87 blocks for the mental body. Let's see. The etheric implants. Okay. They're trying to mess with me. So I keep going back to this thing. I think you have around 45.
What implants?
Wait.
you doing, Tosh?
Yeah, I'm
Actually,
good.
maybe it's like 52. I think you have 52
Is that a lot?
etheric implants. 52 etheric implants.
Is that a lot?
So say
No,
say
that's
it's what
typical.
you're allowed to see right now, and
Yeah,
there might
it's
be
what I'm allowed to see.
yeah, and then there's some that are like spiritually, contractually obligated for you to learn how to remove them, and we're not allowed to touch them.
Right, okay.
We should make a list of all the alley words. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I've heard so many of them.
it's hard.
So how do I, is it possible to remove them, or do I just have to leave them there? What do I do with these implants?
You just gotta believe them.
Just leave
No.
them there?
Physical,
The
physical
etheric.
ones.
Well,
No,
no, etheric. We didn't even look at physical ones.
we would be you would be helping remove them, right?
Yeah.
Like some of them, and then the ones that you're spiritually contractually obligated to release, you need to learn how to remove them yourself,
Right.
so that you can learn to heal them in other people,
Okay.
because you have that contract. But that doesn't mean they're gonna like be horrible big ones or anything. It just means you'll take it by the reins and then do it yourself.
Doing yourself's good once you learn things. So, how much have you learned lately, Taj?
What?
Sounds like you're kind of in the mix now. So,
Yeah, alright.
Like do it while he's talking.
Is it 10? Spiritually contracted to remove 10?
Him?
Yeah.
That you're allowed to see, yeah.
Okay. So you're contracted to remove 10 on your
Right, okay.
etheric implants.
How do I do that?
Um,
And that can change up and down depending on things that are targeting you. Usually they'll be temporary because they have no water to stand on, and like manifestation. It's like there's no reason for this. Get this out of here.
so I can remove 45 of them. Yeah. Do you want me to remove those for you?
Yeah, if you can.
Okay. You can carry on talking while I do it.
Do I have any physical implants? Do you know?
I was
Yes.
just gonna tell you one thing you could do that I've learned just over time in the past few months, just working with one person at work, is just over a period of months, just listen to your body, and whenever you have anything from itches to vibrations in your body to buzzes, anything, just take note, and then if it happens there again and then again, once you have the third one in the same spot, obviously there's something there.
Right.
And a lot of it, you'd be surprised how many things you can eat and gain implants.
Oh, is that through like
Yeah, a lot
nano-
of food
through nanotech, is it?
actually
Or
has different levels of it.
right.
There's a rumor right now that some military food has it in it, especially when you go overseas.
Right.
Once you leave the country, you never know what you're given. I don't know if that's true. I'm just saying I've heard that.
But depends on which sector, but yes.
But I mean, it is military, so
They have more budget to do that.
I wouldn't be surprised if every once in a while someone gets tested or something that way.
Well, I guess they have a history of sort of experimenting on soldiers, don't they? Really?
Yeah. It wouldn't be one person or a group. They'd probably do
Yeah.
everybody, whole squad or platoon or something. 50 guys, whatever it is.
So a lot of it depends on how you got the implant. If it's physical, it usually means abduction of some kind because it's not usually your consent.
Alright, I think they're gone.
Okay.
You check it.
Yeah, more than 0. So how about mental ones? Because there's like a certain energy type, and they usually like to overlay on top of each other if it's especially like it's like a point of pain that keeps coming up over and over again. If they will act as relays from a transmitting signal to bring up something in your body as a feeling state that will influence you on the timeline, or based on emotional mind control or split personality of like get them in a state of reaction to something so that they like, oh, we got to shut this down fast. What have we got in protocols? Or bring up a whole bunch of trapped emotions. There's
You have some trapped emotions,
Right.
by the way. Just said that, so.
yeah, do you want to like practice on that?
Mm-hmm.
One thing too, Tosh, is get a really good flashlight. You know, like a military grade handheld torch.
Right.
Flashlight, LED one, a really good one. More than 200 lumens if you can. And stick it in on your hand, and you can check your hands all the way up to almost your wrist with a good LED.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Trick my hand?
For implants?
For implants, don't get like a little lens one. You can find sometimes ones that have like the really big lens on them, you know, on sale for $20 or something, you know.
Yeah.
Well,
But,
apparently I have an implant in my arm.
no, remember that one won't show the ones that there's a type
Mm-hmm.
that uses your own tissue, and it would, to a doctor, would just appear. Well, it could appear as a multitude of colors, but I've heard it appearing as white, and I've seen it appearing as white tissue. But
I'm pretty sure I got an implant in my arm because a couple of years ago a mark just appeared, like a red mark on my arm. I have no idea how it got there or where it came from, and it took a long time for it to go away. You can still see the mark on my arm. It's like a dark spot on my arm.
yeah,
And I don't know, I just woke up one morning with it. I've got no idea how it got there.
it's
Yeah, there's one
interesting.
there.
In a bunch of movies now, just recently, they show them using like a little mini gun, but it's an implant gun where you just walk up and shoot someone and it implants them.
Yeah, it's probably about 10 mil, something like
Sorry.
And I wouldn't be surprised if something similar to that is used because it's so fast. It's just walk up, pull the trigger, you're done, you know.
that. Right.
You see
And
those
what's that?
eyes?
Do you know what?
It's
Do you know what that implant? Do you know what that implant will be
Oh.
for? Is it just to monitor me, or is it to?
Yeah.
Is it what is it? What is it doing?
well, one type always will actually record everything in your body as far as your emotions and your heartbeat and your health
Right.
and the telemetric data of your body.
So they're just they're monitoring me basically.
And what happens is it gets sent out in code
Right.
systematically through a burst, a frequency burst. So like it would happen at like 3 o'clock every morning when you're asleep.
Well, I'm
Usually.
not asleep at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. That's,
I know, like right now.
that's an example, but realistically for some people it can happen every couple hours. It can happen a bunch of times within 1 hour. It can be sending and receiving. It can
Right.
receive. It can actually. This I know. I just know for a fact. I can't explain all the details right now, but
So what are they sending? What are they sending to it?
they can send in new program codes
I know, he brought it down.
on some level to where it changes the dynamic of what it does. So instead of being geared to monitor, it can be geared to do other things, you know, whatever that might be. and I mean, like, I think that it's like the kill switch theory, you know, where it just as it can monitor once you're red flagged, it can, you know, it can be your tracking collar.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, tells you where they know where you're at. You might elude like local law enforcement or something when you're doing your thing, which wouldn't matter. But deep down, you know, the Black Ops boys are gonna know what you're doing.
You always know.
Yeah.
There's
I
nothing.
wanted to ask Sean as well. I've been told by quite a few people that I'm protected in some way, and I wanted to know.
He just went downstairs. He'll be right back.
Oh, right, okay.
A lot of people are protected just by
But why?
past members and stuff that passed.
Why am I protected? Is what I wanted to know, really. Is there something special about me, or is it just
You feel like it's like physically protected or just like spiritually protected?
a little bit of both, really? To be honest, yeah.
Both. Well, yeah, that means that, you know, there's probably certain people around you. There's probably like, you know, several women, several men that depend on you to help them or engage in some type of part of your life, to where that's important, regardless of whatever your standing is right now in the world. You know, there's that social part of your life that, you know, someone says, man, I really hope Taj comes over today, you know, and, you know, whatever the interaction is. But there's people that depend on those little things when we're when we're on the path.
Okay. Well, I also wanted to ask Sean about my connection to a specific person. What my connection is to that person.
Yeah, he's the one who reads the past lives.
Right. Okay.
I do pick up that you have protection from like your spiritual entourage.
Okay.
And Sean can explain what that is more than I can, but
If you can kind of think back, Taj, and just how many family members you have
Right.
that have passed that are relatives, all the way from the 1900s to the 1800s to the 1700s, that will give you kind of a good idea of the generative spirit that might be around you.
Okay.
So like grandparents from both
Sean has
mom
a
and
question for
dad,
you.
the parents of them, the parents of them, all of the siblings. Not all of them will come around, but they all kind of work as a collective in that spirit sense. It's just a human dynamic of spirituality.
Is there also like a
But more
protection?
so like your parents or something. Like a mom will check up on you more than, or a grandma maybe, or a relative you were close to, maybe an uncle or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there also like a protection from like your, I guess you would say your soul family, or?
To a point.
Yes.
To a point.
Yes. Sean, it's a good question for you.
What's the question?
He has wanted to know if he has protection. He's told he has protection.
Okay. Yes. So when you say protection, I will describe it in a ranking system, because a lot of people will put that as a excuse not to do certain things to protect themselves and learn the skill sets, so that the protection is there so that you are maintained to do what you can do with relatively high amount of comfort, while still going through the process of educating yourself so that you can do it yourself, and then maintain yourself as a multidimensional being, going through a process of mastering fear and limitation in the hard knock school of life that's going on here at Earth, which the highest players are involved in because it's a very big game. So high spiritual protection coming from multiple groups that off-planet beings such as Arcturus, the Pleiades, and Lyrans that you exist as, that I mentioned previously, as well as a whole bunch of expressions that could have an anchorage ship in the residual images of certain Egyptian gods, skin suit types, because it's an entire species. It's not just one being. Then that like essentially gives you an army of ancestors as well as physical fleets that monitor your timeline backwards and forwards. You go. The physical fleets you can interact with in technology based on telepathic text messages they've given to you. Being in a low state of awareness, there's always like a thing that we can like grab onto and then practice with that will then redevelop telepathy no matter how many blockages there are. It's going to start with a type of psychic Morse code, then it'll end up into a walkie-talkie text messages, and then a walkie-talkie, then live Skype call types of telepathy. These beings want to work with you, but they aren't going to do anything against your free will. You have to engage them. They'll do dreamtime visitations, etc. if you get your dream body fully activated, because there's a lot of things involved in that. You have inheritance that as a spirit of who you are of these armies, both physical and non-physical and spiritual. You have an army of ancestors waiting for you to work with them to delegate work to protecting your multidimensional selves, your timelines, and beings around you. Over a quintillion, there's ridiculous numbers when I get involved in getting into this number with especially super soldiers of armies. Even that though, like, you know, because like this is a multidimensional game, you're gonna when you're having a big army, you're also gonna come up against not the small shit, but big apex predators that want to use your energy and abilities to leapfrog off of for their own spiritual evolution. So you have those, and you can work on those, and your multidimensional self can help do commerce with them so they engage more of their protection. And some of them aren't aware of you fully. So these are the ones that are aware of you. You can gain the awareness of all these other beings that you've existed as to, you know, get that spiritual inheritance of protection, because they have it's very advantageous to connect with you, because you are a standing signature frequency on the graduation timeline here for this drama, because that has a lot. It's an awakening planet. There's a lot going on here. So there's a lot you could trade back and forth and be that kind of mediator, ambassador concept, if you wanted to.
Okay.
I don't know if I answered your question.
Sort of. Yeah.
Protection, okay, like degrees of protection besides ones that you've initiated yourself, such as spiritual fortresses and layers of things that they have to get past in shit to even get to you, as well as other signature frequency versions of you and other beings that are in a spiritual commerce where they're initiating a job that you traded them this and this and this for, to where they could protect you in a way that they're very proficient in, psionically, or literally stopping physical ships from trying to abduct you at night that are negative and preventing that timeline incursion. So is there any other type of protection you were talking about?
I do feel like I have some kind of energetic protection, some kind of energy protecting me. Like, so bad stuff doesn't happen to me. Does that make sense? I don't know. Is that what you're talking about, basically, yeah?
Yeah. Like the timeline incursions that would want to try to take you out of the reality by making, like, this and this chess move that make you into a scenario that you come right at the stoplight right before, and then something influences you not to look a certain direction and you get hit by a car. And then, like, another chess move coming in that was that protection to influence it so that you look in a direction just right before you get hit and you stop yourself. Or even more advanced things going on that have more interesting manifestations that they would want to wipe your memory about, because it would change your timeline. And if they don't, sometimes you don't get your memory wiped and you keep that memory. There's a lot of stuff. So they know. So
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about my connection to a specific person. If I told you the name of a person, would you be able to tell me if I knew them from previous lives or what my connection is to them?
do I know them, or are they a
Sarah
historical
Adams.
figure? Huh?
Sarah Adams.
Okay. Yes, you do. A lot of incarnations. A lot of it's secret. I'm not allowed to talk about. But, God, what am I allowed to talk about? So many secret. Okay, so a lot of secret missions. Also, like as divinity path beings, that in other expressions, you travel throughout the multiverse. It's not just her. You have a whole team around you and spiritual family that you interact with, and they are manifest as a lot of your friends, pretty much all your friends and the people you actually resonate with and are attracted to, in interacting with, such as us.
You can't tell me.
Are you looking to turn on your beacon so that you attract more of your soul family and your team around you to help you with this process?
Yes, if that's possible.
Okay. Yeah. You can do that. Okay. So we'd get rid of the blockages for that, so that you're automatically attracted in synchronicity to places. While your higher self is engaged in a spiritual commerce, to do the exact same thing to that spiritual anchor version and get them influenced to meet up to you in the same place or time, or conference call or whatever. So like working with Earth heavily improves that like crazy. She is very good at synchronicities and manifesting things to like just happen right in the reality. So if you work with her, you can definitely increase that. There's a bunch of meditations I can give you to where you would increase that and get rid of blockages in your initial system. They would want to block you heavily because you already like out the gate have all these anchors attached to you on ropes, and you're still like steaming through. So, I'll name like a prevalent one here. Let me tune into that while you want to talk. So.
You want to talk?
Heart technology.
About what? What's going on?
Okay.
I lost track. Sorry.
Okay, so I'm looking into the technology of it. Your heart has a 0-point technology to it that has a hologram that you can create an operating system with in psychic keyboard fashion, whatever you choose, that like you project holographically with your third eye to initiate programs, switches, and knobs. Besides the 0 point, you have these rings and layers around that go outwardly that then hold in those rings apps that you can then, if you were to think of it like a smartphone, apps that you can then program and then make a subject matter that you can then tune into and resolve certain issues or connect to certain beings. In your fourth ring will be the inclusion of all beings in your soul family, your soul groups, beings that you have a connection to, heart space experience with, loves, soulmates, etc., that you can then engage in spiritual commerce at a higher level, filtering, auditing, managing systems so that no blocks are put in place or things that would try to impede you from doing that or manipulate things to get you so that you would become an enemy to that person that you had a great friendship with. That because drama demons like to do that, especially in Super Soldier, get people fighting against each other.
Okay.
We know that.
So I would access that technology. I would just tell you what I'm accessing. Essentially, you can have an intention, what you want to do with meeting up or doing spiritual commerce with those beings that you have a heart connection to, and then send them messages back and forth. Hey, I'm looking to bring more of my soul family in to work with me, to know me, to meet with me. Can we get up a few months ahead or like a few weeks ahead, like meetup session with local beings or beings that are in a social media platform where I can meet them around the planet. And then like initiate some kind of inspirational action that is brought down from your higher self version of you to bring you into where you're like, oh, I just visited that exact website where I would meet that being, kind of thing. There's like a give and take of like what you needed to perform in the physical to meet up with their strategies of like, okay, well, how the heck do we get these people to meet up to each other? And then that being a whole influencing process. And there's also a list of things that you need to accomplish and do before you meet certain beings in your soul family, especially beings that are high up on your soulmate list of beings that you've had great loves for, because they really don't want you guys to be separated from drama before you guys meet up. So that's why they would keep you away from your more affinitive loves that have a higher expression of igniting that love experience and then expanding upon it over bigger and bigger. And then you being able to meet higher up versions of yourself on that list to eventually, you know, like it depends on what life you're trying to live. If you're just trying to live this human experience until like you get over 125 or before, or if you want to do the divinity path where you're expanding that lifespan and going past that, getting rid of the blotches, maybe even immortality. And then the whole commerce thing with relationships get really interesting, and not monogamous usually, but like there's also that. Depends on if they're also wanting to do that, and it's like if they're gonna die or not, you know. And then the other relationships with off-world species. There's an interesting thing going on with commerce. So if that answers your question, it's like very advanced, and you gotta like get your higher version of yourself involved in the manifestation and do the work to where you have earned the right to be surrounded by your beings despite all the negative stuff that's trying to separate you from those beings or get you in habit patterns where you would miss out on meeting those beings.
Okay.
The biofeedback device you could then tune into with muscle testing to then access those lists and gain more information on that subject if you wanted to.
All right.
What else did I want to ask you? I'm doing a Skype next week with this doctor, medical doctor, she describes herself as a multi-dimensional physician.
Is this someone from Russia?
No,
Oh.
no, she's not Russian.
Interesting.
She did an interview on the Goldfish Report this week. It's quite an interesting video. You might want to watch it. But,
the main host of the Goldfish Report?
yeah, the lady, the one with the glasses. Can't remember. She interviewed it. She interviewed this doctor. But I'm doing a Skype with her, and she said that if I wanted to do any healing or activating dormant DNA, that she would be able to help me with that. And I wonder if you knew anything about that, about activating dormant DNA.
Oh yeah, I love doing that. It's fun. Reading the lineage lines that you have of your potential, and even if it's watered down DNA, it still can be activated. It's just if it's activated in the now, you can create codon switches and operating systems where you have dimmer switches to activate certain abilities, and some of the DNA holds like huge amounts of gifts and abilities and a large percentage of memory that can flood back. It holds your light body DNA expression of energetic emission and biophotons from the DNA, which connects to a lot of stuff. So like even if you don't have it carried in your DNA skin suit right now, you can then program from your higher self those abilities into the DNA now through your own generated DNA programming.
Yeah. Well, she was talking to
But
me
it's
about
easier. Yeah.
things like cancer are manifested in a higher dimension, and they sort of manifest, you know, the way she explained it, like you're attacked in a higher dimension and it manifests as cancer here. So you can't cure the cancer physically. You have to cure it in the higher dimensions to remove the cancer, kind of thing. And she was
And it
talking about,
sucks.
yeah,
It sucks because a lot of the mindsets of the people that manifest cancer get them in a state of avoiding the cure, which is that, and
they're just trying to cure the symptom, kind of thing, which doesn't work. But she said she would talk to me also about soul contracts, and
That's good.
I don't know if she can actually remove soul contracts or if that's possible. But she said she would talk to
Yeah.
me about that as well. I don't know if you know anything. What
Yeah.
you can say about if you know whether I have any soul contracts or.
So soul contracts in its description would describe agreements that you have, usually with other beings or versions of yourself or source or the planet you're living on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, for experience that you're going through in certain multidimensional expressions. You have different ones that apply to you, the I am presence of now, and other versions of you that are, and also ones that are sent down from your DNA lineage ancestors that are resolving a whole bunch of issues. You have, if you want to resolve them very fast, you create a spiritual auditing process for all these spiritual contracts. So you get rid of any fine prints or any contracts that are mimicking your frequency based on stolen energy that is taken from you and then used by advanced spiritual dark lawyers that make spiritual contracts that would then the essential thing they're trying to do is get you to not see it or the camouflage spiritual contract and it just go through approved and it have all this shit in it that like brings up crap that you didn't really agree to in full disclosure.
So if I do like I've done like a soul contract revocation. If I read that out, does that revoke the soul contract? Basically?
Oh yeah. Revoking spiritual contract is really good. It makes us a court of equity, like around the being that you are in, like a bubble that like audits every line of drama that's entangling with you, especially your crown chakra and beings that are connected to you in multiple degrees of separation of you, such as your first degree of separation, every being you've ever met in the physical, second degree, your spiritual entourage, dreaming guides, and it goes past that in different dimensions interacting with you in different realms and all this other stuff. And being able to audit all those lines that are interacting with this timeline version of you. This timeline version of you has a 0 point of creation. That is your being in the fetus of the mother's womb. That is the most attacked thing on your timeline because it is infinite, it is part of your infinite version of you as connected to the dream space of the planet. And it's aware of all your timelines and spiritual contracts. So that being an auditor, shielding the shit out of that, fortressing that, making it, and then checking it so that there's no negative bleed overs because they're going to constantly attack that every time you get a spiritual attack, so that they can then make greater chess moves of attack later down. Spiritual court of equity, spirit contracts, very good. You can tailor them to yourself so that you don't have to just read things off the internet or whatever, but some of them are really well made. You can, it's like getting the technology of the being of the I am, which is the fractal of source, involved in making a sacred space bubble around yourself that can extend past 9 feet, entangle with every other version of yourself multidimensionally, and make them all show up in a court of equity that doesn't look for justice or judgment, but goes for remedy and resolve. And if there's beings doing shit against you, it's a very easy way of auditing the shit out of them in alignment with source and natural law and just getting rid of the problem that wasn't really something that you need to learn from, because you've been because the attack gets old after a while and it doesn't have as much lessons. So
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
good way to clear yourself too.
I think KJ sent me the soul contract revocations from Andrew Bartis. So I've done those ones. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
And there's some
I've
other
done
people
those.
too. And it's like gets the technology of the voice and how it's projecting in light body technology to all these other versions of yourself in multiple galaxies, universes, and it spreads that light of energy in auditing fashion so that it helps them too. It also gets involved in understanding the heart technology of being able to create sacred space, which is indicated by you being in bliss. You're attracting charge into your being, like you're making a star, and it sense repeatedly going into your heart, and that indicating that you're creating sacred space around you, so that you can activate more of your multidimensional self. You can access more of your DNA, because you're in the highest range of emotional energy, energy, and motion type, instead of fear or something.
Okay. I've run out of questions now.
That's
I
fine.
think that's. I think that's about everything I want to know right now, to be honest.
Did you want to do another interview later?
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah.
Okay. And then you can get more questions and integrate and all that stuff.
Okay.
And all three of us or whatever, bunch of different interviews. We appreciate it. So, are you? Is this going for a show?
I wasn't sure. I wasn't ready. I thought this was going to be just like a reading for me, but I might post it. I don't know. Do you want me to put your names on it, or I don't know?
I don't mind. It's whatever.
It's fine. I didn't really do much.
Oh, you did a lot.
Most, not really.
She's doing more in the places that aren't seen here. So.
Yeah. This is more like a past life reading.
Yeah.
But
But she's helping me with all the stuff. So.
it wasn't like there's not like anything else you can tell me. Like you're not allowed to talk about it.
Not really. I don't have that much approval for a lot of the super soldiers on expressing who they've been in past lives. Because
I wanted more to know about my connection to her in past lives, like either in Egypt or Atlantis.
You have a lot of connection.
Or
Do you have anything specific you wanted to go into?
like if I have any connection to her in Egypt, for example.
Okay. Okay. So there's an interesting life that, because there's a lot of lives, but like I'll go into like points of interest. Interacting with Hall of Records, like you would do that with her as well, because in a priest class expression, you male, she a divine female. Okay, there's like there was a union of mystery schools, both in divine and feminine expression, that were carried in concepts such as Osiris and Isis, passing down to lineages that would then keep the wisdom alive as long as possible. And then trying to keep that safe, and so not everyone could access it, and it couldn't be as corrupted as easily. You have downloaded the Hall of Records into your light body. You could then, in that place, because there's multiple Hall of Records access points on the planet, usually in an inner Earth or tunnel system or ancient builder race technology that can be very well just stone to some other person that doesn't have the correct DNA and light body technology to access it, which you did because you can, and you have the access in those places. So resonance with Egypt, bringing up, you have a lot of gifts waiting for you in technology and spiritual abilities from all those lines of mystery schools you've been in, not just that one, in those lives. Can I go into anyone specifically? So like resurrection before it became muddied down and then turned into what is known as mummy stuff, which is you being able to do some kind of way of initiating a process, either if right before death or like an initiation process. I can do this for sure, and we'll just like simulate or bring me into a state of where I'd be dead, and then I'm sure to come back based on doing a whole bunch of things that we're aware of during the mystery school. That's a step-by-step process where you go somewhere, you bring a whole bunch of interesting abilities back, and then you gain, because it's not the etheric mystery school that you'd have to be involved to keep that alive. Is you got to have approval and protection, because there's a lot of things that want to access that technology as well, which is why there was a downfall in the technology being carried down, and then it not being as easily successful, where then you could come back and into your body before, and they wouldn't need to do the embalming thing. There's some things with that. Anyway, depends on sect. Not all the Egyptians did that. They had different types of resurrection processes. Okay, so like when you come back, you would have a higher density. You would have gotten an early life review. You would have had this higher awareness that like you brought in, and like were able to do things not everyone could do. So like this expression, you went from fourth density integrated to ninth, like integrating your ninth density self, which is like beyond planet and star concepts. So it also is indicating that you would have been in atomist, no, is it, yes, concepts of where you could, I think they, what do they call them, Solarians, or where you could project your consciousness into the sun and then do spiritual commerce with that and activate, because you have a version of yourself in this sun, in a community, and you would use it as like a Stargate also. So there's a lot of things behind that, because you didn't just like die and then go to a different place and just come back. You went someplace, upgraded really fast, and then split yourself into multiple pieces and have one of the parts come back and anchored in this expression. That's just an example, but like a lot of things like that.
Okay.
Because they have the technology, and if they're connected to a hall of records, it's like a lot easier, and the technology is prone to giving you direct downloads really fast of knowledge. And that's kind of how you got to fourth density there and able to access that ability. They also personalized the Egyptians with a lot of third eye technology, throat technology, and heart technology. You know. So this is a cat with a bag. Anything else you wanted to go into?
No, that's
Today,
it.
because later there's will be a lot of things.
Yeah, that's it, I think, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for having this chat with us.
That's okay.
Thanks, Taj. Yeah.
Always good.
So is that it?
I guess. Thank you again. You're very powerful. I'm not good with endings. So Thanks again. We're looking forward to speaking to you again and having more interviews because it does help us a lot getting our name out there so that we can heal more people and then do that spiritual commerce and being able to support ourselves in the physical, doing what we love.
Yeah, maybe you can come on my radio show, do a live
Oh,
show.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
You can
When
do
does
like-
that start? That's on the 22nd,
Starts Sunday,
right?
yeah, next Sunday, yeah.
What time?
It's 6 o'clock, yes, Eastern time. Yeah.
Okay.
2 hours.
That's probably not our 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'd have to talk
No,
to you
it
about
is.
that.
There's only one
Oh,
Eastern time.
Yeah, 6 to 8.
Is there?
Yeah.
My
That
first,
sounds
the first show is about detox, so.
sweet.
And you're good with that,
That'll be
so,
good.
yeah.
Okay.
Are you gonna have callers call in, or is it just a show?
I'm not sure yet because I don't know how to figure out the call in, how people call in to Revolution Radio. I know there's a number. I know there's a number, but I don't know how I connect them into the call and stuff like that. I have to
Right.
speak to Revolution Radio about that.
Cool.
I can get my own number on Skype, but I got to pay for that.
You
and
give
then-
people live chat.
Yeah, but I don't have time to read the chat and do the show and do the interview and everything else. So, but there's going to be a few of us on. There's going to be me, Sarah, Nissa is my other co-host.
Okay.
And we're going to have a lady called Brightly Kelly, who's a friend of Sarah's. And she's basically specialises in detox and getting healthy
Well,
diet.
that'll be a good show.
She's basically, I sort of asked Sarah if there's one person you look up to in the alternative community, who would it be? And she said it was Brightly, so I brought her on the show to basically learn from her, I guess.
Well, it'll be good. I can't wait.
Okay. Well, I'll let you guys go.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good night, Taj.
Thank
You
you
too.
again.
All right.
Thanks.
Good night.
Bye.